Well, welcome back. It's been a long time since I've updated on my vlog that I started off pretty strong but kind of tapered off towards the end of the year. But Happy New Year, everybody. It's going to be in about 9 hours time. It's going to be 2020. New decade. Everybody's doing New Year's resolutions. I think they're overplayed and a little crazy. Goals are good, but I think New Year's resolutions have a stigma that they're kind of a joke at this point and they don't get really accomplished. However, I'm just going to do a quick little video here updating a couple things. Number one, it's been 6 months, actually probably more, since I talked about the business and actually updated this vlog. And number two, kind of give a little projection of like what I would like to happen in the next year. So, on with number one. Well, I think, and I'll actually pull it up right here so I can actually give an exact quote. I believe the last time that I updated my vlog was in May, and it's now December 31st, of course. So, obviously, a lot has happened. As I pull it up right here, yes, 7 months ago, and this was uploaded on May 26th. I was right. At that time, I had, just a few weeks prior, traded in my Tacoma, or my Stinger for my Tacoma, so I could set up and start doing work stuff and whatnot with the truck. I had filed for my business, which is what this video was about, and actually created it and made it a legitimate entity. And I had, after I got that filing done, I waited a couple weeks and got papers and got bank accounts set up and all just the basic stuff, and then got business cards as well. Actually, I got one right here. See this? This is one of my business cards. I know it's going to be backwards for all you guys, but it's pretty cool, and that guy right there is my logo. Created by my good friend Garen. So, got all that set up. That took a few weeks. And really, like, my total, since I owned about half the equipment I needed, my total all in all startup cost, when I include the business cards, the basic licenses I need and whatnot, was around $500, just in small odds and ends and getting all that set up. It's not including the truck, of course. When you include the truck in that, which at the moment it's dual purpose, serves both me and I own it, and then I just use it for business, just because that's what's needed right now until I get one of my other cars more, we'll say roadworthy. If you included that, it really, it would be a little bit more, but that's whatever. So at that point, I had, by about June 10th, I had officially launched. Now, I had no investors, no advertising dollars, no business advisors, none of that stuff. It was just simply, okay, let's see where this goes. I was making okay money. I was staying afloat with Uber and Lyft, as well as having rental income, which the next month, actually starting in July, I actually gained a little more rental income by getting a few more people in the house, and that has helped out tremendously with stress levels and trying not to go crazy over having a fairly expensive house. It's kind of stressful, but it was not that great. And so I knew I needed some more money, but as of that point, I started gaining a couple clients, and it was small. It started off really with just 1 or 2 jobs a week, and kind of picked up from there, and it kind of varied, and to this point, it kind of grew from that to 3 jobs a week to 4. I never really quite got past the 5 job a week mark, which that really happened actually a little later than I was anticipating. I was really getting towards September, October, where I kind of hit my peak for the year, and I didn't really have a completely full schedule. I still probably only half booked by what I myself could do, but it had kind of gone up and kept increasing, which was good. And I've done a few other things besides just the detailing. Luckily, I can kind of do a few small side jobs with the business as well. Like I've done a few custom installs. The company I used to work for, Package Runner, I did some camera installs for them and was certified for that back when I worked for them, and they hadn't gotten anybody recertified, so I came back in and did some for them, traveled down to Phoenix, and those are road cameras for trucks. And I also did, on one of my old drivers, I did a light bar install and a few other things on his truck, and I can do those things. I've done them before, and it's not that difficult. I also have a few friends. I won't ever offer this as an actual service, but I have a few friends that I'll do small level maintenance stuff on their cars, like oil changes, tire rotation, stuff like that. But I won't ever be offering that to the public yet. That's just not where I want to go. I want to go in more the obviously detailing direction, but also end up in more the customs direction as well. So after about October, it started to taper off, and a couple things happened. By October, I realized that I was losing money every month, obviously, because it's a new business. That's just what happens, especially when I don't have this crazy business plan, and this is more just like a very small idea versus buying an established business or launching into a niche or something like that. I guess I did launch into a niche. What I mean is, launching into a pre-existing kind of area that you know is going to yield a decent amount of profit. I was obviously between keeping myself afloat and keeping the business afloat, gaining a little bit of debt, losing some savings, and all that kind of stuff. And in October, it got to the point that I realized that, it's, especially with it slowing down for the winter, I was going to need something else. And I started to brainstorm on what I could do, if there was something the business could do. And the end result was, as far as the basic established business kind of ventures that the Chaos Theory currently does, there wasn't really anything that could gain any more income in winter versus summer. I thought about buying like a plow truck, because I still have my CDL, I could do that. But all of those would take a lot of capital, and I really didn't want to invest a lot of capital in doing something for just 4 months when I would rather invest that capital in doing something that will go for the rest of the next year. What I settled on was, I realized that, okay, mid-November to the end of the year is peak season for Amazon. And I remember this from when I was working at Package Runner. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, okay, well, I know Package Runner is going to be hurting for drivers. And, luckily I went and talked to the owner, and we worked out a deal where I have been driving for them for 7 days a week. Basically, I'm working about 30 hours there, and making a very healthy side income, which has made all the difference in the world. And so I actually have to thank Travis and all the Package Runner for allowing me to come back and do that, because it's fixed that buffer zone to where I was, constantly losing a little personal money, making sure that the business keeps going and that I personally keep going as well. Sadly, I'm not a simpleton. I'm a fan of expensive things, and it's kind of a terrible thing. Well, not expensive, but, a nicer lifestyle. I don't like apartments, and I don't like things like that, and I've usually been able to grasp that, but not having a regular income, it's a very different story. So I've been able to do that for the past 3 months. So at the moment, what's happening is the detailing is still running. At this moment, I'm really only getting a few jobs a week. They're just kind of trickle in. That's how it is in a beginning business. And I've actually started to put a little bit of money towards mild advertising, a few Facebook ads here and there, and just some small level stuff. And actually started to approach some fleets that I'm hopefully going to begin carrying for their vehicles to establish regular income. Part of the biggest, one of the bigger problems that I've been facing is that this business is, if you leave it at just this mobile detailing level, which more or less everybody uses as a stepping stone and then moves on from there, it's very irregular. You can't really predict it. The only predictability you get is if you start getting more famous and get so many calls that you just schedule everything out, and then you're 2 or 3 weeks booked out. You have to hire another person or consider that, if that's something you wanted to do. And that's really the only way you can build regularity in this business, because let's face it, not everybody has the money, the time, or the want to be spending, a couple $100 fully detailing their vehicle every couple weeks or even every couple months. It's really something that should be done every 3 to 6 months for the average human being. I mean, it would be nicer if it was more often. Your car, as long as it's done correctly, is only going to benefit from a cleaning like this, because the more times you do it, the less that you have to do each time, and it becomes a maintenance versus a deep clean. But I digress. That's just not the case with the average human being. But one of the things that is the case with that is fleet vehicles. So, for instance, I do a couple of the owner-operators, which from the trucking company. So an owner-operator is, for those who don't know, it's a gentleman that owns his own truck and has his own established business entity that then leases on to a carrier that has loads and pulls them for that. So obviously that owner-operator is fully responsible for the truck, for the maintenance, the care of it, and etc. And we have a couple of those that I've regularly done some cleanings for a package runner that associate with package runner, which is great. But I'd like to build that a little more. So I've made a few contacts here and they're not established yet, so I'm not going to throw anything around, but we'll see. I'm hoping to be able to, advertise that one of these people is fairly well known, that I am their regular fleet care, because they haven't found anybody, which was kind of funny, that's willing to travel and actually do their stuff. So they found people that are mobile detailers and willing to come clean their fleet, but their fleet is very spread out. It's not all in one location. They have many different locations. So because of that, they couldn't find somebody that was willing to, for instance, go do a shop up in Logan, but then also handle a shop down in Provo. Understandable. It's a widespread and fleet. There's very low margin. It's you're running you're running a little thinner just to get more of a gross dollar amount at the end of the month. And obviously the mobiles that I do for Porsches or even just regular GMCs or anything like that are far more profitable on my end. But again, we're trying to build regularity here. So that's kind of where we're at this point. I've built a bunch of different stuff. I built a let's see. The first thing I did after I got the truck, to kind of just outline this real quick, is I got a 70-gallon water tank. 65-gallon water tank. And then I got a pressure washer. Right now it's just basic. It's a Honda-powered Ryobi unit, but about the best one you can buy at your general Home Depot or Lowe's. Got some totes set up and everything, and a good little system going around to where I can carry everything around easily and just kind of make it work. There's no problems with all of that. It all fits in the Tacoma. Tacoma could use some airbags to kind of help it along because it is a lot of weight in the back, but it handles it just fine, and all of my stuff gets around. The main thing that I built that was kind of interesting, which helps differentiate a little bit from the competition, is I have a water purification system that's mobile, that is built. It's not built into my truck, but it is. I'm able to put it in there, and it's totable. Most of them, if you're going for a full shop size descaler, deionizer, or reverse osmosis system, are fairly large. They're usually 40 to 50 gallon drums, or 2 20-gallon canisters, etc. And they're just not really portable. So I decided to build a system that was portable. There's people that make portable systems, but they didn't do what I wanted. They're usually either really small, about this size, and they're measured in inches. This is a 4.5-inch canister by 10 inches is usually the size that is sold for like an enthusiast. That, with the hard water that we have out here in Utah, specifically in Syracuse, where I usually fill up at my house, it'll only last a few washes, and then you'll have to replenish it, and resin is not cheap, so you don't want to do that. They do make a slightly bigger one that's 2 20-inch filter cartridges, but again, it won't last very long, it's not very well designed, and it's expensive to purchase because you're purchasing it pre-made from the company. And so after all these things, I decided to build my own. And I found the filters cartridges that these companies use to build them. I found this mounting bracket, and I actually built a 3-stage filter system. So it goes in right here. It has 1, 2, 3 filters, and then it has an output. The filters are all using the same resin element, which is just a standard DI resin. Same stuff used in fish tanks, actually, to descale the fish tank and make sure that it's pure water so you don't get a bunch of scum and whatnot all over. And it eliminates literally everything from the water that causes hard water. I even have 2 little meters that measure inputs and outputs, so that what they do is they measure the dissolved solids in the water. And so they go, it's the input at the very beginning, after filter 1, after filter 2, and then after all 3. And I'm able to tell how well each filter is doing. That's another thing that I couldn't find people to do, and that was actually the hardest part, because I had to fabricate these tiny little connectors in between each of these filters and actually drill them out, glue them in, and all this. And it took about 4 different stages of doing that to get it right so they don't leak and stuff like that. But I ended up with a system that works very efficiently. I've gone through about 50 pounds of resin over the whole summer. So about $200 of resin over the whole summer is very efficient and not bad, considering I've gone through probably about 1,000 gallons of water after all the cars that I've washed, which is, it's a very efficient system for what it is, and I'm quite proud of it. And I might actually consider building them and selling them to people, but we'll see if that happens. Anyways, so that's the truck setup that I've kind of gotten to the point of using. if anybody, has any specific questions on like chemicals and stuff I use, I'll do that for a different video. But that's kind of my year-end update. The business at this point has made a decent amount of money. It's into the 5 digits. It's not like tiny, small dollar amounts, thank goodness. But it needs to at least double or triple by the end of this next year, at a bare minimum. And so I'm currently working on the ways to do that with the fleet sales and stuff. On to, since I just mentioned it, this next year is going to be a very monumental year for me, because not only do I need to make this business grow like hell, but in about 6 months' time is when the plan is for me to officially purchase the house that I live in. I have a rent-to-own situation with an owner that I know personally, and he's been very gracious in working with me, and we're hoping that by that time, based on the multiple incomes that I have, that I will be able to purchase the house, qualify for it. If not, I have some backup plans that we can still work out and potentially make that work. The second kind of goal is that right now I'm going to continue driving for package runner for at least a little bit. I'm going to reduce that amount because I've been going 7 days a week right now, which is a little draining. I've been waking up at 3:30 a.m. every day and doing a route out to Camas and sometimes other places, and then going on and still doing my regular daytime work during the day. And if I don't have any work for detailing or otherwise, I usually go out and I will do Uber and Lyft, or sometimes I'll buy and trade items, whatever makes money. So the goal is to reduce the extras as much as possible. I'm going to keep doing them as long as I need to in a smart way. Obviously, I need as much capital as possible to be gained. But I want to take those and slowly be able to build the business enough to where I can kind of reduce them to the point where I eliminate them. Because I do want to have multiple sources of income. I want them to be multiple sources of passive income, not a bunch of active ones. Right now I've got one passive income, which is my rental income, and I've got 3 active ones. Active means that I'm the one actively doing them and making the money and going out and doing it. So that's definitely the second thing that I want to kind of work on this year. The third thing is, it goes along with that, which I kind of already set a goal this year and started to work towards, is no matter what day it is, with the exception of the occasional vacation or whatnot, as far as active incomes go, make sure that every single day, whether it's business related, Uber and Lyft, package runner, doesn't matter. Every single day I hit an X dollar amount. So I can say, doesn't matter what day it is, except for the rental income, I need to be making $200 a day. Doesn't matter what it is, or $100 a day, or $150. And I started doing that the past month, and that's kind of what brought me into the package runner thing in the first place, and driving again, and so that's going to help. And I'm going to try to continue that and get a little bit more persistent and better at that. The fourth thing, which I'm kind of glad I'm putting these on camera because this is going to start getting a little more personal, is to start managing my time a little better. My time management from March, when I left employment, to now has improved tenfold. I'm a lot more efficient with the way I use my time. However, there's still tons of room for improvement. And so I'm going to get better at scheduling, organizing, and following through. Quite often, a lot of people's problem, including mine, is follow through. So a lot of people will go, I'm going to do this, here's the time I'm going to do it, and then it gets to that point, and you're like, oh, I don't really want to edit a video, oh, I don't really want to go, organize my chemicals or place another order or anything like that. So I'm going to try to, as a person, be a little bit more vigilant in getting those things done, and that will help both me as a person and the business. A fifth thing is diversify the business a little bit. So I mentioned fleet detailing and a few other things, but there's always been a slight potential that I could get back into trucking on my own terms and do my own things. We'll see. It's been, with the proper capital to back it up, I could definitely do it because it's been something that I've been involved in since I was 18. I've, with the exception of a few years that I worked at the shop that I worked at, I have always been involved with driving, and it's something that I don't think is ever going to leave me. So even whether this year or 5 years down the road, probably in the future there will be something trucking related starting up. Who knows what it is, but we'll see. That's kind of going to be a wrap. My camera's about ready to die. I've got the flashing red battery of doom going on. So, Happy New Year's, everybody. Looking forward to 2020, and I'm hoping that I can kind of keep these vlogs going a little more regular so that people can get an idea of what I'm doing in my life, as I think it's really cool to be transparent and actually show you, what it takes to run a business and how it's not exactly as easy as you might think from the outside world. So, anyways, stay tuned. More where this came from.